The Wednesday, March 22nd, 2017 regular business meeting of the Pasadena Area Community College District will come to order. Roll call, please.
Dr. Selvage,
Here.
Dr. Fellow,
Here.
Mr. Osterling,
Here.
Ms. Brown, Mr. Hilsman,
Here.
Mr. Martin,
Here.
Ms. Waugh,
Here.
Ms. Garipian.
We have no closed session items, so there will be no comment on closed session items, and we will adjourn, if that's the correct term, until 7 p.m., at which time we will open the open session.
Are we going to do a closed session?
Wednesday, March 22nd, 2017, regular business meeting of the Pasadena Area Community College District will now come to order. Roll call, please.
Dr. Selvage,
Here.
Dr. Fellow,
Here.
Mr. Osterling,
Here.
Ms. Brown, Mr. Hilsman,
Here.
Mr. Martin, Ms. Waugh,
Here.
Ms. Garipian.
Here.
Mr. Martin, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
You'll join with me.
Are there any requests to reorder the agenda items?
Mr. President, I request that we take item I1 immediately after we finish item H1.
Are there any objections? We will reorder the agenda in that manner. Do we have any introductions and recognitions?
No, we don't.
Okay. Public comment on non-agenda items will be heard at this time. Trustee Osterling, do we have any speaker cards?
We do, and our first speaker tonight will be Duress Hinneke. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Come on up, please.
Actually, it's an agenda item.
Duress, you're going to be on the clock for 3 minutes, and I'll give you a 30-second warning.
That's fine, it's right here.
Yeah, right over there. Thank you.
Good evening. This is regarding number 566, regarding providing a safe haven for immigrants at our school. I would like to thank you for giving...
Excuse me, this is an item that's on the agenda, and you will have an opportunity to speak immediately before we discuss that item
Okay, I'd like to
ourselves.
save my time till then. Thank you.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
a better approach.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Sharon Stanek Lowe. And Sharon, you'll be on the clock also for 3 minutes.
Thank you. So there's two handouts that the secretary was to provide. I'm going to go through the first one, and then the second one is really informational for the trustees. My name is Sharon Stanek Lowe. I'm your account executive from Keenan for your employee benefits consultant agreement. And I'm here today because on March 1st, we were emailed by the district that our services were going to be discontinued. We've been a partner of the district for over 10 years. We've, in the past 3 healthcare renewal cycles, we've saved the district $1.2 million. And we've donated over $8,700 to the district through your foundation and sponsorships. We've been part of your HR team when there's been a leave of absence on 2 separate occasions. And about Keenan, we've been in business for over 44 years, and we service 23 community colleges for employee benefits currently. Our accomplishments for the district have been marketing. We completed a dental and vision marketing last year, and by improving your vision benefits for your employee population twofold, with minimal premium renewals or increases. And you also joined a trust at that point in time that afforded your employees a $500 per ear hearing device benefit. We've also introduced and provided the district a new dental plan, a choice. It's a DHMO dental plan, and that provided orthodontic and implant benefits where your PPO dental plan did not have those services. In 2015, we obtained quotes for your medical plans, for your adjunct faculty part-time employees, and issued a Anthem Bronze plan for them. We also provided a compliance solution, and through the Equifax, you've been able to report the required 1095 and 1094 forms. We've also negotiated 100% of your funding for your new Keenan Wellness program, and we've educated your Employee Benefits Committee on numerous items and been a partner with them. Through the Benefits Committee since March of 2015.
30 seconds.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Since March of 2015, there's been an item on that agenda that you would go out to bid for a broker, employee benefits broker. And at this point in time, that has not happened. We have some confusion over our discontinuation of our contract and the hiring of a new benefit consultant. And with that...
Thank you. I need
Yeah.
to terminate. The 3 minutes is up.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Steve Ballantyne.
Thank you. I'm Keenan's labor relations consultant, and just to follow up with what Sharon had been sharing, we've been working with your insurance committee to help bring a market for healthcare benefits, and we've been engaged in that process for quite a while. My role as a labor relations consultant, having worked with different unions over the last 30 years, both faculty and classified employees in K-12 community college districts, is to help navigate through this difficult terrain to ensure that the challenges that both sides face could be met, and to provide some confidence that both sides' interests would be met through that process. But the confusion that we faced when we went out to market for healthcare benefits was to find out, not through the district, but through other consultants, that somebody else had been hired to do that while we had the broker of record, and the broker of record gives us the exclusive right to market for benefits. We found out through other providers that the district had hired somebody. We also were made aware that the district wanted to go out to bid for a consultant, and public institutions usually have an obligation to make that a public process. In this case, there has been no public process in that, and frankly, there's a public trust we think should be adhered to if the district is looking to go to market and look for another consultant. That's fine, but there's a process that people have an expectation would normally be met. And absent that process, and to find out that we were asked not to continue, really was somewhat surprising, just because we've been in business as long as we have. We have 700 employees, and to hire a company that's been in business for 10 months that doesn't have that kind of background really jeopardizes the district's benefits and programs, and there's no transparency, there's no really open process for that to occur. And public institutions really do, I think, owe the public that right to ensure that there is transparency, there is an openness to the process, rather than behind the scenes engaging in that. So from the Keenan perspective, we think, we'd like to be able to continue being your consultant, being your broker, if you have an interest in engaging in the RFP process, as was made public, that the process should continue and let the everybody bid on what the program is, and you have the right to make whatever decision you want at that point. But
Mr. Valentine, I'm going to interrupt. I apologize. I forgot to give you your 30-second warning, and your time is up. So if you could conclude your remarks.
I will.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank
So essentially, we'd just like the opportunity to be able to continue and participate in an open process for the RFP and let the public interests be served, both for the district to ensure that there's an open and transparent process and everybody can be ensured that it was adhered to. Thank you.
Thank you. No more non-agenda public comments.
Great.
We'll save this other one for the agenda item.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is approval of minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Okay, advisory vote?
Aye.
Please. Passes 6-0-1, one absence. Item D, consent items, category S. Are there any trustees that want items from the consent calendar considered individually?
Motion to approve the consent calendar. Second.
All in favor?
Advisory vote?
Advisory vote?
Aye.
Trustees?
Was the motion for consent calendar S?
S.
Just S?
S.
Only
Okay.
S.
All right, thank you.
Consent items I, instruction. Incidentally, is there any public comment on this agenda item? Hearing none? Do I hear a motion?
Move to approve. Second.
Advisory vote?
Aye.
Trustees? Thank you. Consent items B, business. Are there any items that trustees would like taken off the consent calendar and discussed individually?
Motion to approve. Second.
Advisory vote?
Aye.
Trustees? Thank you. Consent item P, personnel. Are there any items here that trustees would like discussed individually? There was no vote from the student trustee on this.
Approve. Second.
Trustees? 6-0-1 in favor. Action items recommended for approval. Adopt Resolution 567 for establishing election-related events and adoption of revised board bylaws regarding board elections and the annual organizational meeting. Is there any public comment on this item?
We did have one, right, Jim?
Let's see, we have a public comment on I-1 Resolution Number 566.
No, that's not the one.
Yeah, this,
Yes, but we'll be doing that next.
correct.
Okay.
I will ask Attorney Warren Kinsler to explain action item H1.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board, Dr. Verdian, staff, and guests. Resolution 567 is in front of you because you may recall back in December that you adopted a resolution directing the president to ask and submit your resolution to the Board of Supervisors seeking to change your election date from November of odd-numbered years to June of even-numbered years, and in February, the Board of Supervisors approved that. What this resolution is principally about is a gap in the law, if you will. Everything that we would find in the Education Code or the Election Code relating to governing board elections, both for schools and community colleges, relate to elections held in November of odd-numbered years and dictate when, for example, terms begin and end. There is not a provision in the Election Code or in the Education Code to govern what happens when elections are in June of even-numbered years. And so the idea here is, since there's this gap in the law and the registrar's office recognizes this, we have proposed a resolution which my intent, and hopefully will be the board's intent, to articulate, if you will, the legislative history behind what you are doing when you amend your existing board bylaws relating to elections and annual meetings. So, for example, since there is law that says if you're elected, if you hold your election in November of odd-numbered years, your term begins and ends on the first Friday in December following that election. So consistent with that model, what you'll see in your board bylaws are provisions relating to that and similar things, except the first Friday in July would be the date on which terms begin and end. If down the road someone wanted to question our process, they would have to do so knowing what the board's intent was and what the legal factual situation was that you faced in doing this. And if they want to second guess you on it, I suppose they can, but at least you will have been quite clear as to why you are doing what you are doing, which is filling in this gap in the law until somebody, namely the legislature, decides to clarify the law for us, in which case I or somebody else would be back in front of you to recommend the appropriate changes. I don't know if you want me to go through the resolution and the changes to the board bylaws themselves. I'm certainly willing and able to do that if you'd like. On the other hand, I'm perfectly happy to take any questions or comments you might have.
Well, we have all received copies of the resolution and discussion of what the objective is, and I think most of us understand that. Some trustees may have questions. I have a couple of questions, but do any other trustees have questions for Mr. Kinsler? Mr. Osterling.
Mr. Kinsler, I had, first of all, just a comment for whoever prepared this. This is very well done and easy for us to understand by you doing it in red line format with red ink to compare to the prior version. So I want to thank you for making it easy for us. And then I just had a really quick wording question on item 7A, and this is in the procedures in the event of a tie vote. And I just didn't understand the wording in the first sentence of item A, which is one sentence.
In the event of a tie vote, the governing board shall call a runoff election to be held in the district?
Item A.
Oh, I'm sorry. If the
And I was trying to understand the words either and which. Either which.
That a tie vote makes it impossible to determine either which of two or more candidates.
Oh, okay.
So either which of two or more candidates, so we can certainly take out the word either.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Excuse me, which page are we on?
I'm looking at page 7 of 10, and I'm on item of one of the attachments, and it's one of the attachments, and it's item 7A. It was just a wording
What we were
question.
doing there was using the language straight out of the Ed Code, so
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure that I've made a typo or grammatical error there.
Okay. Thank you.
But yes,
Any other
this is your
questions?
resolution and bylaws. You can make changes as you wish.
Trustee Hilsman.
Yes. Are there any changes in the provision for the runoff from prior practice?
Well, as you'll note that since this is all in red, it's new.
Yeah.
And what that means is you had not adopted a procedure to deal with the situation of whether there is a tie.
Okay.
Yours truly has learned a lesson the hard way, which was I had a client board where there was a tie vote, and they had not adopted a process for breaking it as required by the education code. I did my research, and I concluded that the response would be to draw lots. Of course, neither of the candidates was happy with that option, and they went ahead and called for a recall. And so I have assumed in writing this that your preference would be for a recall election. You may want to...
Runoff election.
I'm sorry, what did I call recall? Excuse me.
Don't use the word recall
Excuse
in this
me.
room, please.
Yeah, a bad slip of the tongue, excuse me. A runoff election, you could, if you wanted to, for example, save money, you would draw lots, but...
Well,
I
that
don't
was
have
an
my
issue
bullets.
that I had. I mean, it seems to me that I heard an estimate of what Jim and my election cost the district, which was somewhere in the neighborhood of $750,000. Was that what it was? Something like that.
3/4 for one election?
One election.
$750,000.
So we'd be spending, the college would be spending $750,000 to do a runoff?
Approximately, if it's on the odd year. An even year would be about 260,000.
So 260, okay. So there is a fiscal impact.
For one seat, probably.
No, that would be for, I believe it was 4 seats.
Yeah, but this would just be for one seat. If it was
This would
runoff.
be a runoff,
All right, it's just for the
presumably
tie.
for one seat.
On the other hand,
Not a trivial amount.
these elections do not occur on regular election dates. As a practical matter, in my discussions with the registrar's office, you would have to, they couldn't meet the timeline in the Ed Code section on it. It would have to go over, I think they would need 6 weeks beyond December, so these things end up happening not as quickly as anyone would like. They would probably want to put it with the March election, but my experience is that it's been a standalone election, and that adds back in some costs that you wouldn't have when you're sharing it with other entities.
So the determination we have to make is what's in the public interest here, and whether it, yeah.
Any questions from any other trustees? Okay, I have a sort of an overall question on this item. We didn't have it before. You've pointed out that you had a client where they actually did have a tie, and they went to a runoff.
Right. They
Did they?
decided not to follow my advice, and they went to a runoff. Yeah.
Excuse me?
They decided not to follow my advice, and they went to a runoff.
You would recommend they do it the...
That was that was based on my research, and it was not based on a whole lot that I was real satisfied with.
Okay, and with your discussions right now with the registrar says they couldn't meet whatever 6-week deadline
Yeah,
under the
they
Ed
would
Code?
have to run the election really very close in time to the first election. It would have been, if you read the language literally, it would have been sometime in December. But it also can be read to allow you to adjust those times so that everyone has time to pull things together to do an election.
But we're talking about this would apply to future elections for us, so it would be June of even
Correct.
years.
Correct.
3 seats in one cycle, 4 on the other. And if we had a tie, let's just say for one of those seats, the top 2 candidates tied, the next statewide election would be in November. Now, do we have a problem if we want to put into our bylaws or say the education code requires us to do something else, to have an election not on one of those statewide election dates, consistent with the California Voter Participation Rights Act.
The Voters Protection Act doesn't apply to certain elections, and one of them would be a runoff election such as this.
Does it indicate that? Right, I've read it, I didn't see that in there, and I know that Pasadena, City of Pasadena, Pasadena Unified School District are kind of grappling with that because they have runoffs.
The regular election dates would not apply to a runoff election. And so you would not have to wait until the November election. Whether you could or not is another question. Again, in speaking with the registrar's office, I said, well, having to wait until February or March or April for one of the regular election dates, if we'd been on an odd year cycle, that's a long time. And it's even a longer time now if we're on an even year cycle, because the next regular election date is, as you said, in November. And so they are understanding of the problem, and I would suspect that you would get your runoff election 6 or 8 weeks later, 6 or 8 weeks following the certification of the tie by the county superintendent.
Okay, my last question is then, what we have here before us is a bylaw and resolution that is consistent with the Ed Code, and the registrar says they can meet the dates?
Well, what they're saying is they can't, but they can work with us to come up with other dates given the language in 7B, which is straight out of the Education Code.
Thank you. Trustee Osterling?
Just a follow-up question to Dr. Selvage's. The whole reason we're going through all of this is because the Voting Rights Act wants us to hold elections on a statewide basis because our turnout's too low. It's greater than 25% below that. And it seems like this runoff election would be quite low turnout. And as Trustee Hilsman already mentioned, it wouldn't be tied in with any other runoff elections that we know of to be regularly scheduled. And I guess my point is between the low turnout that would almost be guaranteed from this runoff as a standalone and the cost that we, the district, would pay to the registrar's office, I wonder if you could recommend to us some of these other high-tech solutions like the coin flip or the drawing of the straws, possibly. Yeah.
That is entirely a judgment call for this board.
Yeah, understood.
You know, the reason I put it in there was based on my experience. I'll call board members politicians, excuse me, but based on some experience with it, the idea of the coin toss, or actually the drawing of lots, whatever that means in a modern sense, just does not satisfy a politician's desire for an electoral outcome.
So if we vote that in that way, and I happen to be the guy that loses that coin flip, you can say I told you so, right? Thank you.
Trustee Fellow?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, democracy is very expensive, but most of the San Gabriel Valley, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I know in city councils they do a flip of the coin, which also bothers me, but it's cheaper. Reminds me of when I was in Italy and the Italians won the soccer championship with a flip of a coin. And that really bugged me, you know. I would be embarrassed, but they weren't. But I think we haven't had a case, I think, since Temple City, which must have been 10 years ago, of a tie in the San Gabriel Valley.
Yeah, the registrar's office was, when they did their research, they came up with one other school board tie since 1996 or something like that. And I said, no, there's another one that goes back to 1993 or 4, and they didn't find it because the code sections had changed in between the two. So they're few and far between.
Just for the
And
record,
it's really a question of what this board thinks is the right way to resolve the tie.
Trustee Martin?
we had a tie. 1983. Sue Mealy, Roger Gertmanian. We had a runoff election. Just for the record.
Thank you. Trustee Hilsman?
So I just wanted to clarify, the courts accept a coin toss, I assume.
The statute authorizes either the drawing of lots, not a coin toss.
Okay.
Drawing of lots, which is a different thing. I'm not sure exactly what it technically means, or a runoff election.
Okay, just for the record, I'm willing to take a chance on the runoff election. I think that's probably, because I can just imagine the public outcry if we do a coin toss. So.
Any further questions for Mr. Kinsler? Is there a motion? Let's see, we need to...
Move approval.
For the resolution and then...
Everything together, right?
Everything
It's
together?
all together, and I just want to make clear, we've structured it this way so that the adoption of the resolution is the adoption of the bylaws, so that down the road, when somebody decides they want to call something into question, these two items will be forever linked together, so that nobody 25 years from now has to go searching for a resolution as to what was intended and why we did what we did back in 2017.
Move to approve.
Second.
I would ask that we approve with the one wording change that we already discussed.
Friendly amendment?
Agree.
Agreed? Agreed. Any further discussion? We have a motion? Okay, advisory vote?
Aye.
Trustees? 601. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kinsler. Now, we are moving item I, resolution number 566, up because Mr. Kinsler will also be discussing that with us. President Burdian?
We have in front of you, members of the board, a resolution 1, number 566, in support of undocumented students and affirming Pasadena City College as a safe learning environment.
Is there
This
any
item is for information and, if necessary, action.
Is there a public comment on this item?
Yes, we have one speaker, and it's the previously introduced Duress Hinnicky. And my apologies, Duress, I see that you had signed up to speak on this action, and I put you in under non-agenda. So I'm going to give you a full clock and not count against you your earlier start.
Well,
My
thank you for that.
apologies. Go ahead.
Good evening, Mr. President, Board of Trustees, esteemed guests. I might not have the many accolades you guys have all accumulated over your many years of education and many years of work in education, but what I do have is a voice. And in this case, something more powerful than even that. This case, I'm reflecting a collection of voices, and these are voices that should matter to you. These are the voices of your students. As he said, my name is Duress Hinnicky, and I'm the president of the Ujima Club here on campus, and we would like to show our support for resolution number 566 and show our support for undocumented students and affirming Pasadena City College as a safe haven. That is all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for the group that joined you in solidarity.
We have before us a resolution for information and possible action. Do we have a motion?
Motion to pass this resolution.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt this resolution. Is there any discussion? Student trustee.
I would like to thank you, GMO, for coming out today. As a student trustee, it's really tough understanding the student voices and knowing what students want. And it's groups like you that kind of help me understand how I can further help students. And I want to thank the board for proposing this resolution in association with the Associated Students and the Academic Senate. In regards to the resolution, I do support it, and I am glad that it is on the table today.
Thank you. Trustee Wah.
Yeah, I would also like to thank the students for coming out to voice their support for this, but also to Dr. Foster and to the student, the AS President Russo, and also Trustee Grippian, who first adopted this resolution and encouraged the board to do the same. So I think that we stand in unity with each other and for our students.
Trustee Hilsman.
Yes, I'd like to echo the sentiments and commend the Associated Students, the Faculty Senate for this. This will be a struggle, I would say, that will go on, and I think that we've approached this in a very responsible and that we'll be continue to be unified behind the sentiments here and committed to a safe campus environment for all our students. Thank you.
Valerie Foster would like to make a statement on behalf of the Faculty Senate at this point.
Yes, thank you. I know I'm not supposed to enter in the discussion, but I thought someone who actually helped us write our own resolution was going to speak at public comment tonight. We did have a friendly amendment, and the amendment was to include the language that the president and the legal counsel would be the sole point of contact for any agents.
The law enforcement.
Try and do it on the fly, or do we want to do this
I
at our
think we
next
can
meeting?
do it. I mean, we can just have the wording right now, and then council can tell us whether that wording is correct, and also Dr. Norman can tell us whether that's the appropriate wording that we have based on the practice at Pasadena City College.
Okay. Will we have this written down before we do the vote?
I would just put the protocol that we have, and I don't know, should it be that it goes to that department, but that you are, as the president, you're in charge, or?
The protocol of the college is for HR. HR is the only agency of the college that accepts warrants that come. And then all decisions regarding the execution of that warrant is authorized by the president's office.
Okay.
That's our protocol.
I think that's all we have to put in, is that?
I would agree with that, yes.
Trustee Osterling.
I think the sentiments from what we've heard from all of the trustees that have spoken is that we're in favor of this resolution, and those that have spoken on Dr. Foster's friendly amendment, we're in favor of that. And so my only point is procedural. It's not as simple as adding a fourth bullet point to the now therefore let it be resolved. And I would just remind all of us, we've had encountered this before where we try to do this on the fly, and it gets to be hard. I don't want to stall or delay this thing, but I think we would be best served to incorporate the language that Dr. Foster suggests. We've had discussion about these coming to HR, maybe to the police, and then to the president and legal counsel. I think we should just go back to the drawing board and get that friendly amendment in and make sure we've got it right, and then bring it back to the group, to the board.
Trustee Hilsman.
I just have a little problem with that, just in terms of delaying this, because I think that it's so timely and important, and the Associated Students and the faculty have acted promptly on it. I have a little difficult. I get what you mean, but I don't know that it's going to be that hard for us to. Perhaps we can table the motion for for a few moments while HR and the president talk about it. But once we have something, we just need a sentence or two. I'd like to do it that way, Warren.
What if we had our expert legal counsel confer with Dr. Foster and Dr. Norman and try to work on something while we're doing this and see if we can bring it back today? I agree, we'd like to get it done, but it's hard for us up here to
Yeah.
do it right.
Let me make the suggestion. I share Trustee Osterling's initial concern about doing this on the fly. As you read all of the different things that are getting published by all sorts of different entities and things, we need to give this a little bit more thought in terms of process. There's no doubt that the recommended amendment makes perfect sense as a general proposition. The question is, we need to have something here that the campus community will, as an operational and practical matter, be able to comply with. If it's calling legal counsel, well, you know, when suppose the ICE agent shows up at a classroom, I don't know that every one of our faculty members will know what to do, much less who someone like me is. And so I want to be able to give in the resolution, or perhaps in another document that you would approve, specific direction on how to respond to the receipt of either a search warrant or an arrest warrant or any of those other things. And then there are other circumstances, perhaps, that have to be considered in relation to obligations with respect to F1 visa students, our foreign students. Our obligations there are different.
My concern is that we make sure that we have clarity about what it is we're voting on. And Trustee Wah?
Yeah, so as I'm listening to Mr. Kinsler, you know, I'm not sure that what we're talking about is spelling out every single thing, dotting every I and every T. I think that what was presented to us seemed to have gone through you anyway, so I think it seems pretty comprehensive. I hear Dr. Foster's concern, and I think that we all agree that there should be clear that this goes through a known designated point, so it's not ICE or whoever can go to just anybody on the campus and present their warrant. So it does seem to me that we should be able to get something, either Dr. Norman and Mr. Kinsler and perhaps Dr. Foster could quickly draft, just adding just a central point, either saying it goes through the normal protocol or else it goes through the president's office. And then if you could have that phrasing for us, I think we could vote by the end of this meeting. I don't think it needs to go through the hooplas, as I was starting to hear this becoming a lot more embroiled than it probably needed to be.
Trustee Osterling.
Let me try it. I'll try another suggestion. What if we added some language to this that authorized the superintendent and legal counsel to draft procedures that would, those procedures wouldn't be in this document, but the superintendent and our legal counsel could draft procedures for putting this resolution into effect, and those could come in the future. That way we could vote on this with that one added direction, and then our legal counsel and superintendent and HR and everybody and our campus police can all work out all the details, and that can come back at a later time, hopefully soon.
Dr. Verdian has some wording here, which if we incorporate into the resolution as a whereas, I think accomplishes what we're all talking about. So Dr. Verdian, could you please read that?
So I will add another whereas right before the let it be resolved. Whereas Pasadena Area Community College District has a process for the acceptance of federal or state warrant and the legal response to such warrants through the officers of human resources and the superintendent president. Therefore, let it be resolved that.
That would be the final whereas.
I'm the maker of the motion. That's fine with me.
Yeah, this is a question for the council, but the difficulty in specifying things like federal state warrants is that you're excluding other kinds of actions. For example, an ICE force coming on campus. I appreciate your suggestion, the president's suggestion. I think that Jim's alternative is a good one, which is that, because we need to pass this resolution, and I think we all agree we'd like to do that tonight. Can you come back to us with, can either it be done administratively as through procedures that are outlined for the campus, if that satisfies the amendment, or bring us back an amendment at the next meeting, which we'll add. Is that more comfortable for you?
Yes, either option works well for me.
Mr. President, Superintendent President?
So I would propose that we approve this resolution but at the same time that we direct the superintendent to work with our outside legal counsel and HR to develop procedures to implement this, which will be forthcoming in the future.
Dr. Foster, does that satisfy the amendment, do you suppose, or not? Say so if it's not.
I mean, as long as the process is communicated clearly to the campus, I think that Kathy's concern specifically is in the first bullet point of the therefore let it be resolved, that, you know, it implies that if someone comes into a classroom with a warrant, that the faculty member should comply. And according to Kathy, there are lawyers that are reporting some behavior of agents that are, you know, suspect, and that they're presenting fake documents. And I think Kathy's concern was that it's impossible for every employee to look at a warrant and determine whether or not it was authentic. And that was something that the president or legal counsel would be more equipped to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I wish Kathy or someone else were here to speak to what would be more appropriate. But I think as long as that concern is fixed,
Well, I would say that, go ahead.
I was just going to say in the UC document that came out, they have specific words for people who are confronted with their friendly neighborhood ICE agent presenting a warrant. And I think everyone's correct. There are warrants and there are warrants. There are the civil administrative warrants that may come, and our obligations are much more limited there. If it's a criminal search warrant or arrest warrant, our obligations and the authority of the federal agent with that warrant are much greater.
We have a resolution in front of us. We have a motion with a second to adopt it. This discussion is still leading to the point that we don't know exactly what wording we would incorporate here, and at this point I don't believe we're going to be able to solve that tonight. So I think the option that I believe Trustee Hilsman suggested, that we, or was it Trustee Osterling,
yeah,
that we either do a modification to this at a subsequent meeting or handle the response to anything such as this be handled through an administrative procedure for the college. But I am not optimistic that we can here tonight come up with specific wording that is going to address this. Now, Trustee Hilsman, do you have any final
Just
comments?
to add to that, I think we can also direct the president superintendent to outline very clearly for the campus community what the procedures would be if in the different instances.
If that's a direction to the superintendent president, then that would be an amendment to the motion. Is that acceptable?
Acceptable to me.
Yes.
Yes, it's fine, but I deal with this every day. I have students in my office, and I just would like to see this we speedily resolve this, because students are, even though the last president did the same thing, it's really in the news right now. So it bothers me, because I have students daily who are very concerned about this.
So let's approve this amendment as it's written without attempting to amend it tonight, but let's direct the superintendent and outside legal counsel to create procedures that will add some meat to these bones that will then be communicated to our campus community, and let's direct our superintendent to do that as expeditiously as possible.
Yes, the maker and the seconder of the motion have indicated that that approach is acceptable. Any further discussion? Advisory vote?
Aye.
Trustees? 601. Thank you very much. Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Kinsler. Yes. Action item H2, California Community College Trustees Board election. Superintendent President?
You have in front of us the list of nominated candidates, and it is the responsibility of the board to elect, not to elect, but to vote for no more than 9 of the list of the candidates listed on that ballot.
Can I just, probably you're going to say the same thing. I
Trustee-
just like to have Linda, she knows, she's very involved in this. I'm just waiting for you to talk.
Tell us what to do, boss.
We yield the floor.
Trustee Wah, Trustee Wah, do you have
Okay.
a recommended slate of the appropriate number of candidates for whom we
So
should?
here's my recommendation. The vote does not have to be finalized until April 25th. So I recommend that we not submit our vote until our last meeting, which is April 19th. During this time, you'll see a number of candidates who are vying for our vote, and they'll be sending information out. So this is, I think, a bit too early for us to make a decision. I would really like the candidates to have a chance to come out and to send you information. And I have a couple of statistics, which you guys asked me about last time we did this, so I want to be ready for you. But I wanted to say that there are 7 incumbents who are running. As a member of the CCCT, I would tell you that I would recommend all 7. I think they've shown leadership. They're good representatives statewide, but there will be 2 open positions. And I recommend that you look at all of the information that comes to you from the candidates. Some of the things I would take into consideration in looking at these possible candidates would be, what is the current makeup of the CCCT board. And there are 19 members right now, so we have 2 openings. There's 6 of those trustees are from a rural area, 13 are from urban areas. The Northern California is represented by 6 trustees. Southern California has the most, it's 11, and Central has 2 trustees. Of the male and female makeup, 8 are male, 11 are female. Of ethnicity, 1 is African American, 1 Asian American, and 3 Latinos, and the remainder are white. So those are some of the things I would say for you all to consider. And when we come back on April 19th, we'll have a full discussion, and if there's anyone you feel strongly about, you can make those recommendations. I will also make recommendations to you. I would also ask you to, if you know any of the trustees who are running for these positions and you've come across them in conferences, and the upcoming conferences that will be held. So some of you I know are going to the GLI, ACCT, so you'll see some of these trustees also at those same conferences. To also observe them in leadership and things that they have done on committees. So I think those are some of the things that should be taken into consideration. So, and I can send sort of the list of those stats on the current makeup and representation of the board, and I'll send it to Dr. Verdian to distribute for you so you can consider it. But we have about a month to do that, and I think in fairness to the candidates, let's give them a chance to come out and get their information to us, and then on April 19th we'll vote. So that's my recommendation.
Is that a formal motion? To postpone consideration 2 meetings hence, that would be the 19th of April.
My recommendation would be to table the vote until the April 19th.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Advisory vote?
Aye.
Trustees? 601. Thank you very much. Item H3, approval of student health fee. Superintendent President?
It is recommended that the Board of Trustees increase the student health fee to $20 per regular semester and $17 per intersession, winter and summer, effective summer 2017. This has gone through the various governance bodies of the college.
Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Trustee Martin?
Thank you. So it's my understanding from the background material that we're currently, the amount of revenue we're generating right now isn't covering the services that we're providing. And so I'm sensitive towards raising the fee, but I'm also sensitive about taking money out of instruction to support the health fee, which is the other alternative. And I don't think that's the right thing. We're here for instruction. I do think it would be helpful, and maybe you have this information, that in the future we keep some kind of scorecard or log of the various services that are used in the health department, and if possible think of ways where we could save on expenses in the health department in the future so that we don't have to raise the fee again.
We will take that into consideration. I'm going to ask Vice President Olivo to work on that so that we will, to the best of our ability, refrain from raising the fee, even if it is raised by $1, as least as possible.
Now, the $20 fee that we're talking about here tonight is the statutory or the legal maximum that is permitted, correct?
That's the legal maximum permitted.
Right, and it's been 3 or 4 years, has it, since it was raised to that amount?
Oh, they raised it last year to $19. So the
No,
chance,
we raised it to 19, but was that
that was the
in accordance
statutory
with
rate.
an increase in the statutory?
That's correct.
Oh, I thought it had been 19 for a couple more years.
No.
Okay, and that is not raised very often, correct? I mean, they go 5, 6 years or sometimes?
The trend, the trend is really they increase it $1 a year. It's similar to the amount we can charge for parking, which we're also, we have the opportunity to increase, but we decided not to increase the parking fee in the interest of the students.
Okay, and for each dollar it's raised, we've got, well, $30,000, we get $80,000, $90,000, do we, a year for every dollar we increase it?
Ballpark, yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you very much. Do I hear a motion?
I think we have a motion.
Oh, we have a motion. Oh, that's, okay. Any further discussion? Advisory vote.
Aye.
Trustees? 601, thank you. Information items. We have already done item I, the resolution. Information item, Superintendent President's report.
Well, I would like to open my remarks by paying tribute to an individual who has been very important to us, both as a collective group and as a life partner to one of our trustees. Vernon Brown passed away on March 14th, leaving behind a legacy of inspiration, fond memories, and service to his community. Our heartfelt condolences go to Trustee Belinda Brown. I was honored to have had the chance to have met and conversed with Vernon in my time at PCC, and I'm sure that each of us here can remember a distinctive memory about how he has touched our lives. He will be sorely missed. To those who wish to pay their respects in person, the family will be hosting a memorial service next Tuesday, March 28th at 10 a.m. at the Metropolitan Baptist Church on Fair Oaks in Altadena. This evening, Board President Dr. Ross Selvage will be adjourning the meeting in memory of Vernon Brown. Let's get now on to college business. Last week, I was pleased to lead a delegation from PCC to Washington, D.C., where we were hosted by the Aspen Institute for a series of conversations about the state of community college education in our country. We had an inspiring, invigorating series of conversations, and all of us returned with many helpful ideas that will inform our activities here. We were also pleased to affirm or even reaffirm our status as one of the nation's top 10 community colleges, which demonstrates without a shadow of doubt that Pasadena City College is operating at the top of its game, and we have only good things ahead. Our congratulations to this year's Aspen Prize winner, Lake Area Technical Institute in South Dakota, and also to the other Aspen honorees. At the college level, our congratulations to our students, to our faculty, our staff, and administrators for the hard work that we do to promote student success. Last weekend, a few of my colleagues and I, including Senior Vice President and Assistant Superintendent Dr. Bell, and Director of Transfer, Ms. Tamika Alexander, had the pleasure of taking part in the City of Pasadena's Black History Month parade. Although the original parade was postponed for fear of lightning storms, the weather and the atmosphere last Saturday could not have been sunnier. I was glad to see the members of our home city come out to celebrate the achievements of the community. A great thank you to our Ujima students. You saw some of them here tonight supporting the resolution for our students and for creating a safe campus. Also, a great thank you to the African American group at Pasadena City College, and I see our very own Reuben Smith, who was present at the parade on Saturday. As part of our duty to prepare for every eventuality, later this spring we will be hosting an active shooter drill at all of our campus locations. The drills will take place across 2 days, May 10th and 11th, so that we may acclimate both our day and evening attending students, faculty, and staff with the steps required to prepare for an event of this type. More details will be issued in the coming weeks and months, and I urge everyone to prepare carefully for this safety exercise. Next Wednesday, we will be hosting a pair of special events at the college, and I hope you will be able to join us. Our legislative breakfast starts at 8:30 that morning, bringing together local elected leaders and their representatives for a conversation about education in our community. Then at 10 a.m., we invite the entire college to join us for a special announcement by the mirror pools outside of the C building, where we will unveil a new Pasadena City College initiative that is designed to revolutionize college access for the San Gabriel Valley. I look forward to sharing more details with you very soon. This Friday, I will be on a panel at El Camino College on leadership in the community college system. This concludes my report.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you very much. We will now have announcements by shared governance representatives and the Board of Trustees, starting with Associated Students.
Good evening to the board. On behalf of students, I would like to say thank you very much for passing this resolution tonight. It means a lot to our students. As you saw, it was wonderful to have Ujima here in solidarity to speak on this. It is a pressing issue, and I would stress the importance that we need to make sure that there is protocol in place, and I have been speaking with Dr. Foster on that. It is very important that we make sure our faculty and staff understand the protocol on campus, so I will stress that. But thank you for passing the resolution as it stands. Other than that, I would say we look forward to seeing you at our joint meeting this April 5th, and we'll have associated students here to meet you guys, so thank you.
Thank you. Classified Senate.
Good evening. I have a couple of announcements. Our Classified Senate is hosting a Classified Day coming up in June. We will finalize everything within a couple of weeks. And also in June, we will be attending CLI in Tahoe City. And at the moment, we have about 15 classified Senate members that will be attending. And we are also opening up, we're drafting a letter to send out to the whole staff or classified employees to see if we can get some more to attend. And we will be having someone to furnish that. So we're hoping to get at least 5 to 6 more classified employees to attend us in Tahoe City. Thank you.
Thank you. Management Association.
We have no report. Thank you.
Thank you. Academic Senate, we have a representative from Academic Senate and an assistant tonight.
Who's your special guest?
This is my daughter. Well, I just want to thank you so much for passing the resolution tonight. Your solidarity with the campus is much appreciated, so thank you. I want to report, give you an update on Flex. So we had our first spring Flex on March 9th, and we had over 500 employees attend. During the morning session, rather than having a keynote speaker, we decided to showcase some of our groups that are working on equity projects. And so they shared out to the campus, and many of these groups are composed of not only faculty, but staff and managers. And so it was a great demonstration of how the campus is working together for student success. And we had a lot of great feedback. Many people on campus weren't aware of these projects and were really appreciative of learning about them. And finally, we just sent out an email to faculty soliciting volunteers for our Senate subcommittees and our shared governance committees. And we've got almost 50 responses for these committees, which is unprecedented. Usually we have to pull teeth to get people to participate. And our executive committee just kind of processed this afternoon, and we think that it's a testament to our college moving forward in a positive way. You know, our reaffirmation of accreditation status and our Aspen ranking. So it's really great to see that faculty are wanting to get more involved now. So I just thank you.
Thank you. Is there more? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. There being no more, student trustee.
I'd like to echo what President Russo said regarding the resolution. I'm glad to see that the trustees do stand in solidarity with the student groups and faculty groups who proposed the resolution. And on that note, I would like to recommend and invite the Board of Trustees to actually participate in a Safe Zone Coalition workshop. So as you know, we do have a Safe Zone Coalition here on campus. The associated students went through half of a Safe Zone Coalition training where we learned about undocumented student rights and LGBTQA student rights. It's really a great place to ask questions. I know even as associated students, we were not aware of a lot of the struggles that students face and all of the processes that they have to go through. So yeah, I would really recommend that both the trustees and anyone listening right now would really participate in this Safe Zone Coalition training. It really helped me as an individual, and by spreading awareness, we can help more student groups on campus.
Thank you. Trustee Hilsman.
Yes, and just to add to that, there's a community organization now called Pasadena's Organizing for Progress that has developed a community-based and safe zone initiative that you all might be aware of, and it would be something that I think I've urged them to contact PCC, the Associated Students in the Senate, just to let them know what's going on out in the community, which are comparable efforts. Also, as the liaison to the PCC Foundation, I'm really happy to say they've been very active. They're beginning their capital campaign. They will have some important announcements, I think, in coordination with the president. So I'm very excited about that going forward. They're taking a more, I think, holistic approach to their fundraising and how that they can really target some of their activities to really help students in in all areas, scholarships, transportation, books, and all that. So in any case, that's been very rewarding. Thank you.
Trustee Wah.
Well, I was on my first accreditation visit, and I was over at West Hills Lemoore College, and I really have to thank Dr. Verdian because I've been on that wait list for 5 years, and he made calls almost every week to make sure I was on a team. But I have to say, I really learned a lot about accreditation, and I actually have some recommendations for our own trustees on things that we can do and be more actively engaged in the accreditation process. So I encourage all of my fellow trustees to take accreditation training when you can, not just the workshops, but actually the training. And I've made that recommendation to my colleague, Trustee Chen Haggerty, who is doing a workshop at the ACCJC for the trustees. And then I want to thank the college for sponsoring the International Leadership Foundation lunch. I think we have 4 students who will be attending and learning about international leadership. We've had a good turnout in the past. And that's it.
Thank you. Trustee
And in 5
Martin.
years, we could be on a team if we do all that, right?
You got Dr. Verdi in your court now. You can be on a team next week.
I've got nothing to report, but usually when someone's speaking, I try to make sure I'm focused on them and I try to listen intently. Dr. Foster, I didn't hear a word you said. I'm really sorry. I was focused, but I didn't hear a word you said.
Children and animals steal the show. I know. You're
May
never
have
supposed to
repeat
go on
some of that
stage
to
with
me, but it was the best report you've ever made.
Trustee Osterling.
I wanted to just echo Dr. Verdian's prior comments on the passing of Vernon Brown, husband of our own trustee, Berlinda Brown. And what I noticed, he struggled for the past few months, and Trustee Brown was, I could see that she was suffering, but she remained dedicated to PCC and continued to fulfill her duties. And I was just so impressed with that, and just, even though she's not here, want to pass along my condolences, as I'm going to be unavailable to attend the service because we're headed out on PCC business. The second item is I'd like to commend Dr. Verdian and our business services staff, and specifically, I received a comment or a complaint from a constituent vendor that was trying to bid on some PCC business, and they felt that the purchasing process hadn't been followed properly, and we're not supposed to micromanage our superintendent, so I just turned that information over to Dr. Verdian, and he and his staff inquired about this, and what was reported back to me is perhaps that process had not been done properly, and they pulled the purchase and the RFP, and they redid it. And I did hear back from the vendor that they were satisfied with the procedure the second time around. And I just want to say that it was a small amount of money in question, but I'm pleased that you and your staff follow up on these. And it's important because sometime, hopefully in the very near future, we're going to be doing purchasing for large amounts of money as part of the master plan. And it's good to know that we have processes in place and we try to follow them, and when a mistake is made, we go out of our way to make sure that we correct it. So thank you.
Trustee Fellow.
I also wanted to thank Dr. Verdian for the eloquent words you gave us this evening about Vernon Brown. God took the best this time. Thank you.
Thank you. I had many conversations with Vernon at various PCC events. He was always the consummate gentleman. We were in Washington, D.C. for the Aspen Institute Award, and I had a number of conversations with trustees from the other top 9 colleges in the country, and a couple of the presidents. And one thing that really struck me and was really driven home was the extent to which here in California the state, the people of California have made an extraordinary commitment to making community college affordable. When I spoke with these other trustees and presidents, I mean, I knew that their fees, or what everybody else calls tuition, virtually throughout the country, that these are always these are higher and very substantially higher than what we charge here in California. But other side of the coin here, hearing back from trustees and a couple of presidents, some of those colleges that were there, among those top 10 Aspen finalists, there were colleges there for which the fees that the students pay constitute as much as 75% of their total operating revenues. Here in California, we charge $46 a unit. Here at Pasadena City College, perhaps 60% or more students receive a BOG waiver. And people of California should be proud of the extent to which they have made this commitment to making community college affordable here in California. It's not because somebody in Washington told us or there was a plan over here. We've been doing it all along. That's the only comment I'd like to make. Next item, proposed future board business meeting dates. Do any trustees have any? Oh, excuse me, that's agenda items next. Okay. The calendar, we received a calendar which had one change in the date.
That was the one change that was approved by the board the last board meeting, where the meeting on July 19th was canceled, and the new date is July 26th. And that was approved at the last board meeting.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any proposed future agenda items from student trustee or trustees?
If you, may I say something?
Yes, yes, indeed.
If you take a look at the list of proposed agenda items, which is in your packet, we will be bringing, we have Dr. Story has been tasked with the charge of hiring an independent consulting firm to study our UPass system at the college and to see whether, to look at everything that has to do with the UPass and make a recommendation to us. But what I'm going to ask the board right now, if it cannot be done now, but if you would send us by early next week a list of everything that you would like for us to see. We know we will be looking at how many students at the college use the pass, what kind of need we have at the college for the pass, how much we are charging, because we are not charging what is called a transportation fee, which Ed Code allows us to charge, and we are not charging that. Our sister institutions are all charging the maximum of $9 per student for a transportation fee. Our surrounding colleges use different transit forms. We are the one that use Metro. Mount SAC uses the Foothill Transit, which is different. Santa Monica uses the Santa Monica Transit, which is different. The LA colleges are like us. They use the Metro also, but they sell the pass to their students at full value. They do not subsidize the pass. At PCC, we subsidize the pass to the tune of $90, I believe, per card that we sell. And we don't charge the $9 transportation fee. So the subsidy that we put on those cards comes directly from the activities fee that we collect, and the activity fees that we charge are $11. Is that correct? $11 per student. So we would be looking at the whole picture for the college. We would be looking at comparable institutions, how much they subsidize and what their pass costs. But if there is anything that you would like us to add to that, to what that independent consultant will be doing, we would appreciate it, because we will be asking that consultant, based on all that, to make a recommendation to us. And this will be a consultant that is not connected to the industry, that is not connected to the college. It's going to be a completely independent body that will be doing that for us.
Thank you very much, Dr. Verdian. Are there any other suggestions for future agenda items? All right, hearing none, in honor and memory of Vernon Brown, this meeting is adjourned.